Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Lisa from Question the Narrative, and a very happy Easter to everybody. It is Sunday, the 9th of April when we're recording this, and we're wishing everybody a beautiful day. Here I am again with my beautiful, beautiful friend, Antonia Harmon, who is from Divine Empowerment. And we're going to talk about a sort of a continuation of the story that we had been discussing before, which is about healing. But healing in a very particular way, because Antonia and I got into a conversation, particularly as it related to the finger. And we're going to talk about how magic has been occurring here and this concept called cellular regeneration. So good morning and good afternoon, because it's afternoon for Antonia. How are you today? Happy Easter to you.
I'm fabulous. I do think it's interesting timing because it is Easter Sunday, which is the day of resurrection
Ooh.
and rejuvenation and coming back from the dead. And actually, your finger came back from the dead.
Unbelievably. She's absolutely right. Should we start by talking a little bit about that? It's like just to
Yeah,
like set up the
you
set up.
tell them because it's your
Yeah.
experience.
So I'll tell you this experience here. So as you may have remembered from other stories, that what I did is I got my finger cut into one of those mix master blenders, and the middle finger was particularly injured, had 5 stitches in it. The ring finger had no stitches, but very, very bad damage. What was going on is I had 5 stitches in here, and the skin itself was absolutely black and necrotic. And to the point where every time I went to the hospital and had it rebandaged, which was every day in the very beginning, I personally couldn't look at it, but I knew that because if I saw it, and as they talked about it, it's like, ooh, it's necrotic, oh, it's black, it's not good. I knew if I saw it, I didn't want to visualize it anything but returning pink.
Just to interrupt just for a second, sweetie, I just want to explain what necrotic means because people might not know that. So and necrotic means cell death. It's black. So when something goes black, that's something that happens with gangrene. It's something that happens when you have frostbite. It's something that happens to leprosy. It's
Mm.
like it means it's dead. Black means dead cells and there's no coming back from it. So often with something which turns black, it's dead. So sometimes there's an amputation. It doesn't come back. There is no way for it to come back. It is gone and dead. So the fact that her finger turned black was exceptionally worrying to me.
Mhm.
Less so to Lisa. She was
No, it was a very,
freezing.
I knew I had to stay very calm, and I knew part of that was the visualization. As the hospital tech people were saying, ooh, all in Italian, by the way, everybody. Thank God I didn't understand all of it. I was saying, ooh, that's bad. Ooh, that's black. And Antonia heard that, and what she started doing is starting to play around with these concepts of cellular regeneration. And we started talking about, from this process, cellular voltage related to different parts of our body. Then we expanded it to cellular voltage relating to age. And just we'll go into it because I want Antonia to go through sort of the whole process of that. But let me tell you right now that the finger, as you can see, it doesn't look like there's anything. It's pink, it's healthy. Yes, it's hard, it's a hard skin. It's going to take some time to finish up the rest of it. But because there was so much damage to the finger, all the flesh underneath the healed skin was missing. So I'd put pressure on my finger and I couldn't feel part of it. But as she was doing this work on me with the cellular regeneration, it has been 3 weeks of every single morning, I can feel the regeneration of the flesh underneath this massive injury growing by the day. And I'm not saying just a little bit, it is a noticeable difference every morning when I wake up, every morning. So that's the
Chills.
experience that I'm having, right? The experience that I'm having, which is absolutely amazing. And we've gone back and forth as like, is this something that you had to go through? And to be honest with you, Antonia's right. I was never upset about things, because what was the purpose of me being upset and unhappy? It was not going to be a better experience. I knew I had to concentrate my energy on visualizing it, which is why I chose not to see it in its blackened state. And then as Antonia figured this out, she's like, I'm going to work on this and do the cellular regeneration. So Antonia, this is amazing. So first of all, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's
My,
really
my hands,
worrying.
my Italian hands appreciate that. Why don't you give us a little bit of a sort of an evolution about what that is and how you came up with this and what we can, how what you're doing working on this, because we talked a little bit about it, but this is the results. And I am every day better. And people say this type of injury takes years to heal. So this is magical.
I don't even know. With it going black, can it even heal? Number one, I don't
Right.
know that it can. I've
No, it
Googled
means
it
there's no blood
since.
flow there. It means there was no blood flow there.
I mean,
That's the
I had a
point.
friend who dropped a radiator on his finger, and he had a similar situation years ago, and they put leeches on his finger to draw the blood back up. Like, this is, if there's no blood, then it's gonna rot.
Yeah.
It's
It
dead.
it dies. It dies.
Well, black is dead. And I
Mm.
looked into it online. I just did it this week because I just thought, well, has it really come back from the dead? Has it resurrected, as we're saying on Easter Sunday?
Mm.
Which is quite funny. Um, I looked into it online and it said it never comes back. So then what is this the next stage? Is it that you have a holy finger, or is it that it's amputated, or is it what actually would have happened? I don't know the answer to that,
Right.
but it wouldn't have grown back. And so it may have been that you had like some wonky bit of finger, or I don't even know what would have happened.
It would have
And
been
would it have
damaged.
spread?
Yeah, no, it would have been damaged. And what they were saying is that there would have been surgery. So they would have had to do reconstructive plastic surgery to create and take probably skin from other parts of the body and add that on and graft it on. It would have been a whole process of rejuvenating
Well, I'm
the
glad
body.
it wouldn't have been amputated, but they would, yeah. So
Yeah,
I would have had a bit missing in it, and they would have had to graft something from somewhere else.
exactly.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
that bit would have never have come back. That would have just
Exactly.
been because
Right.
it's not
That
coming back
skin
from
would have
black.
never come back naturally. They would have had to graft it on there.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that they would have had a solution that wasn't an amputation because I didn't know
Yeah.
what would have
But
happened.
it's just been a very, very clear feeling of every single day. I mean, I wake up every morning grateful, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel this. And it's like, it's different. It's
Mm.
different. There's a little bit more, it's almost like, how water seeps into on a piece of paper around the edges of something. That's how the skin, the flesh is growing back. It's like magically creating cellular regeneration. So let's talk about what is cellular regeneration in a way. Like it's the creation of cells, it's the growth. And we talked about a little bit this week is that I went through a period of exhaustion. And you're like,
Mm.
of course you're exhausted because you are regrowing, you're redoing things, right?
Yeah, like babies. Like, think how much babies sleep. That was the comparison I gave you.
Yeah.
Babies sleep a lot because growing takes a lot of energy. So, I
Hmm.
mean, I just went down rabbit holes with this because I started thinking about starfish and about it was salamanders growing their legs back and all these different things. And is it possible? And I just was reminded of someone I used to know who had embryonic, I mean, it's vampiric, but embryonic stem cells injected into him. And he was, slightly, well, he was in his 70s or so. And he ended up with a lot more spring in his step. And what is this, and why is it that the dark side, what's really really interesting is what the dark side have been using, and they have been using Countess Elizabeth Bathory, for example, used to bathe in the blood of virgins. That's what they say of her. And if you think about, blood is life force,
Yeah.
it's life force energy in it, And if you imagine a virgin, obviously they've got more life force energy. And I think possibly through osmosis or through some sort of energy, something, the energy would seep into an older person and actually bring their age down. So it's the whole thing about vampires, and we've discovered this seems to be the light, the yin of the yin of the yang. It seems to be the light version of what vampires and what they've been doing with some of these other things with children and all that dark stuff. It seems like this is the light version of what the dark side have been doing, which has involved death. This is involving life force and bringing life force through in a totally different way. So it seems to be, because didn't make sense to me that you can actually just sort of feed on somebody else's life force and then the dark side get to live much longer. What's the light side of that? How is it that we get more life force and we get nourished in this way? And I think this is it. But it happens with, what's really interesting as well is there's a guy called Dr. Hammer who was looking into pregnancy, and he said that after the third trimester of pregnancy, it's impossible, or very, very difficult at least, for you to have a very bad disease like the C disease or other very, very bad diseases and to have a baby growing in you at the same time, because they just don't exist. They don't coexist within each other. So it made me think about the cellular voltage and whether, the baby being inside your belly who has a higher cellular voltage than we do, whether that actually increases our cellular voltage, and then it can actually bring us further forward. So I just looked at this. So you need to have a minimum cellular voltage to be able to get pregnant. So the minimum cellular voltage I've just dowsed is around 60. And interestingly, that falls in my dowsing again. You get between 40 and 50. 40 is 70 and 50 is 50. So 45 is sort of the maximum age that most people can get pregnant to, and that makes sense within this as well. But if you are pregnant, it raises your cellular voltage by about 20. So it just brings you back up, so you're more likely to be able to regenerate.
So the fetus, the actual another life force in you is actually increasing your actual cellular voltage.
By at least 20, yeah. That's why also pregnant women are radiant.
They're glowing. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's such an interesting thing you're saying. So let's unpack that a little bit. So the first thing you're saying is that there's a correlation that during pregnancy with this elevated cellular voltage that you're not getting diseases. And we've actually heard that you said for the C one, we've heard that for a variety of different autoimmune diseases, that if a woman becomes pregnant, she oftentimes doesn't have that autoimmune disease any longer, and maybe even for 18 months after. So there's a massive shift in her body by this increased cellular voltage.
And you're very strongly told not to get pregnant if you are poorly with C or something else. You're asked to potentially abort.
Yeah, so maybe that's just the inverse about what you should be doing, actually. It's actually
and maybe that
Yeah.
wants to be that they want to maintain that as secret knowledge. Dr. Hammer, they tried to assassinate at least 3 or 4 times. So
yeah, but that's really interesting. So, but because if you peel it back, or at least what is told in the mainstream narrative about the C is that it is a overproliferation of cells. That is pregnancy in a way. That is the cellular division.
It's no. The difference is they don't die. It's the what's the word? I love this one. I forgot. Apocalypse. It's apocalypse something.
Apoptotic.
Apoptosis, which is cell death. Apoptosis. I love that word. It's a really interesting sounding word. But apoptosis doesn't happen. So the cells grow, and growing cells is good, but they don't have the mechanism to switch off their growing. So they just continue to grow without dying.
So that C word is the proliferation of anything. It doesn't do it. So with pregnancy, a very directed, particular way of which cells grow in a very organized approach with it. But that's interesting. So let's go back to this whole thesis, because you know that when I was working in the venture community in healthcare, one of the things I was working on was electroceuticals. And electroceuticals are the study of using electricity for as a modality for improved health benefits. It was a known one, and there's a an implanted version of this thing that is for refractory epilepsy. So inserting something into the vagus nerve for a consistent application of electrical stimulation. I worked on something where was an intermittent external stimulation to the vagus nerve, which is your brain gut connection, for refractory for migraines and cluster headaches, which has both been EMEA and FDA approved, as well as they were working on autoimmune and all of these types of things. But it was a whole field of research that has been to
It
the
sounds
side.
because it works. You know,
Yeah.
a well person is a lost customer.
Yeah. Well, no, but the whole idea is that it's a known modality for electricity to be of healing benefit.
But
It's
that's what they
really,
were doing, and this is how, you know, we said this in the previous video. That's how they grew the frog's legs back, because they had this electrical pulse, which is what sent
yeah.
me down the rabbit holes. You know, watching those videos and then talking to you just sent me down a rabbit hole, which ended
Yeah.
up making
So,
this energy stuff.
so it's interesting. So how does someone do that? Because it sounds like we have the power. And I'll just give one more little example, and I want you to talk about it. I don't know if you know of a new series on Amazon called The Power.
No.
Okay, so this is and there's only 4 episodes out so far of the first season. It is an adaptation of a book, which I have not read, but the theme here is that all of a sudden, young teenage girls all of a sudden get power of electricity through their hands. And
Ooh.
at first, this electricity, it kills and does certain things because they don't know how to control it. But it's a metaphor of young girls taking control. And one of the things they say in there, and I'm only at the 3.5 episodes into it, is that it's actually a new organ within these young girls that arrives at puberty
Huh.
that gives them the power. And that power, there's like one of the main characters, the power that she has is using this electricity when she learns how to control it for healing. I thought,
Ooh.
interesting. We always know that art is always communicating and is a metaphor. So from that, there's
No idea.
clearly this thing about knowing that we have a power, that electricity is the power. So let's talk about this, because what you're doing is you're actually looking at healing through this cellular regeneration or cellular voltage increase. So why don't you talk about a little bit about what you're doing in this area and how you're going to be bringing this out and talking to people and trying to help people with this?
Yeah, so obviously, you know, there was, I mean, invention comes out of necessity, and Lisa's finger freaked me out. So I
Thank God
invented.
it did, because I knew I couldn't freak out myself. Thank you, my love.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
so
Really.
yeah, I created this different modality because that was the only thing that was needed. I thought, well, if blooming salamanders can do it and starfish can do it, and why can't we? So
Yeah.
yeah, so I just was like, right, let's see what we can do. And I managed to push that through. But then I thought, I was like, well, if I'm doing you, I'm going to do me. So I started this. What
A
do
little
I
for
need?
you, a little for me. It's like Christmas present shopping, right?
Little for you, little for me. Well, I
Now I
thought,
don't know the whole
well,
secret.
no, I just thought, well, what do I need doing? And I just thought, I've always had this idea about reverse aging. Like, I haven't really been aging that much for a long time. And if I look at my peers, I don't really age in the way that they do. But I don't know. I am not looking, I was not looking as my friend's I was saying that to my friend's husband the other day, actually. And he's like, you don't look like you did when you were 25. And I got a bit pissy about that. And I thought, right. So I thought, screw you. So I
Yeah.
decided to actually just see if I could reverse age my face. And this is really interesting. So I've now started I worked on my face when I was working on Lisa's finger, and my face is looking noticeably younger than it was a couple of months ago. And we've just pulled up a picture and compared it. Like when I smile, the lines here, and even good pictures with good lighting, the lines at the side of my eyes are not there as much. And I
And
have got more, go on.
there's no other retouching. I just want people to know that she's not doing any cosmetic procedures at this point.
Oh no, I've not had any Botox or fillers or anything like that. I've not had anything like that. And we haven't, yeah, this is just the filming as it is. But it's really interesting because there's also a more of a glow to me and more of a more youthful life force glow to me. I think that's quite noticeable too. Can you see that?
I do. I've been telling you that I see such a difference, like just a glow. That's all I can say about it is a glow. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, but I'm noticing I am waking up and going, holy moly, like I've got my lines. I mean, it's probably anything you'd notice on yourself. I'm looking forward to seeing my friend in a few weeks' time, who is Lucy, who's the one who is the stewardess who was starting me down this rabbit hole, and she's very aware of my face. And so I'm not going to tell her, and I'm just going to see what she
See
says.
if
She's
she
probably going
sees
to think
anything. Yeah. But it's
she will.
not just in your face though. Physically, are you more energetic or are you feeling other effects from
Do you
this?
know, I thought this morning that my legs were looking more toned and I was feeling it. But the problem with me is I'm always pushing. So I never know. And I've always got so many pots that I'm boiling. I've just been, I've been very busy this week. Well, I was recording my audiobook. We'll get onto that in a minute.
Yeah.
But I have been I'm so manic that it's really hard to know. I'm always pushing and pushing and pushing. So, and not all of my organs have gone up that high yet. So my overall body voltage is now at 100, and I don't know when I started, like 70 something maybe.
Yeah, I think it
Um,
was 70 when we first started, when you first.
70, yeah, around that. So overall, it's about 100. Oh, yeah. So basically, but my face, I'm noticing things are ironing out. Like any little lines on my face are beginning to iron out, and I'm looking a bit perkier. My muscles aren't as high. I think they're only about 80. I did look at them around this morning. So I think there's more to be done there. For me, my energy levels are very all over the place because I spend a lot of my time in a trance state. And then then this morning I was very energized and running around and did an exercise class and everything else. But I'm very flippity floppity on my energy levels because then 2 days ago
Okay.
I slept for 5 hours during the day. So I'm a very bad judge of that because sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But we did you, didn't we?
Yes, we did. I wanted to get to that because see what it is. And I have to say that for me, I don't know if my face looks any younger, but I know that physically I am noticeably, I said it to you the other day. I'm like, I literally can go and go and go. And I don't feel much of any kind of pain in my body at all. Nothing, like nothing. I mean, I used to have like tightness in the back because I walk a lot. I mean, and here I'm in New York, I am walking 7 to 8 miles a day and it's not a problem. I mean, just go, go, go. That's all it is. Just go, go, go. And high energy, very positive energy. I noticed a physical difference of how I feel. It's like this feeling of just being in a state of awareness of my body, but nothing negative, no pain, no nothing. And I don't mean like I've had a lot of pain before, but it was just like, I told you it was noticeable. And you were like, oh, by the way, I did you. And I'm like, oh.
Because the thing is, so I did my face and Lisa's finger, and then Honey was like, "Up your game, Mrs. Do the whole body." And I was, I can't do the whole body. And then 3 days later, I could do the whole body. I was
Yeah.
planning on doing the whole body, but I just wasn't quite ready. So I just was like, "Stuff it, let's do it." So then I did my whole body, then I did your whole body because I
Yeah.
just thought, well, why don't we do the whole body and see where this goes?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm also going down massive rabbit holes here.
Yeah.
But I mean, so you're feeling a lot more. I think your face is looking younger. But I'm wondering where we can go with this and how far we can go and what the dickens is going to happen. So I'm at around 100 on average. So I've worked out the different ages and the different cellular voltage to different ages. And I started thinking about growing. So tallness growing. So we have this thing where we stop growing upwards, but we continue growing outwards. As many people
Really
know.
not a good combination, or at least on our perspective. For
But we
me.
still grow. So I think it's interesting that we still grow. We just grow horizontally, not vertically, but we do still continue to grow. And I was thinking, what is that? And why is that? And how is that? And then we think about the Anunnaki, and it looks like they were very big. And obviously, we've got the Titans before them who were incredibly mahusive. But the Anunnaki, I think, were a lot bigger than us. And I mean, I think there were hindrances to it, and we'll go into that in a second. But I started thinking, well, if we were born of the Anunnaki and they created us and they made us to be subservient and everything else, being smaller means that, you can just sort of hold on to someone's head and they can be bouncing and fighting.
It's like, yeah,
Do
there's
you know what
no
I mean? Like your big brother used to do,
parts
or
to
my
the
big brother
game in
used
that
to
one,
do.
right?
If you're
Exactly.
smaller, you're just not as much of a threat. If you're against somebody who's, say, 10 foot tall or 20 foot tall, and
Yeah.
you're more of a worker bee, which is what the plan was. So I think that there was a distortion or something put into us to stop us from growing. And I assume that the Anunnaki had big rejuvenating abilities. And I wonder if they even had sort of Wolverine rejuvenating abilities, regenerating abilities, because they may well have, what's been switched off and what abilities did they have? So I started looking into it. So around, and I Googled it as well. So around 13 to 15 years old, people stop growing upwards. And it's soon after you start your menstrual cycle, which I thought was interesting. But it looks like you have to have your cellular voltage around 120 to be able to continue to grow vertically. So mine's at 100. And I'm just playing around with this. And I'm wondering if I get to 120, am I going to start growing vertically? I don't know. It's an experiment. I don't know.
Well, that's interesting too, because I always say when a woman's pregnant, so you said that before, that a woman who's pregnant, there's to get 20 points increased in cellular voltage. They
Sure.
always say that their feet grow bigger when they've had a baby. So there's some kind of growth there.
Does
How
it?
could
I thought it just spread wider before to carry more
no,
weight. Does it
it's
grow?
like yeah, it
Does
grows.
it?
So yeah, it's not necessarily wider. So curious if there's anything that you have to do to direct the type of growth that you want when you do that cellular
So
regeneration.
what? People's boobs and butts.
Yeah. Well, that yeah, not that unless you're looking for a Brazilian butt lift. But no, I mean just in general, because you're right. Like there's such varying heights of who we are, even within family genetics. Which is
I was looking into this, and I was back to Lucy again, because she's 5'11" and a half.
Hmm.
So and I was just thinking about her this morning, and I was like, when did my cellular voltage drop below 120, and when
Yeah,
did
right. Good
hers? And
question. Good question.
I looked at it this morning, and it was I was about 13 and she was about 15. So that could have, I'm 5'4" and she's got sort of 6 inches on me more.
Interesting. Interesting. And
Seven
what
and a
about
half,
her
yeah.
family history? What's the difference in terms of like her parents? How tall are they?
Yeah, her dad's taller than her mum. Her mum's not super tall, but it is quite. I just sort of started playing around with that stuff. Like, if we get to 120, do we start growing vertically? Because
Yeah.
that's what they used to do. The Anunnaki were tall. So
Yeah.
can we start growing vertically? And is that, and then, how tall do you want to go? And can you switch it on and off? Or do you like how much? I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's really
It's
interesting.
pretty
Well,
wild.
yeah. So tell us what you're going to be doing with this new sort of thinking that you're doing. Like you're testing it out. What are you going to be doing for people like this? Are you exploring this with people or
Yeah, I'm just gonna start. I'm just gonna start. So I was obviously when I bring a new product to market, I don't normally talk about things so early on, like with you and I. But
yeah.
because I actually have only just started really being on YouTube, and I go down on crazy missions to do different things, but now I'm being more open about it earlier on, which is fun. It's
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
but it seems to be working. So some things only work on me. There is a thing like that's only one other thing, which is switching my menstrual cycle on and off. That's only working on me, but maybe my cat. We'll see. Um, So I'm doing the cellular regeneration thing, and I think it's working. It's certainly working on my face, and I think it's starting to work on my body. But the very fact that it's working on you, on your finger,
Yeah.
100%,
Right.
and on your body, you've got more, like spring in your step, less aches, less of the signs of aging, and you've noticed more like collagen in your face as well, haven't you?
I
More.
think I have. Yeah. I mean, it's
It's still
just,
quite early for you.
yeah, it's still early. It's still early. So let's for sure, let's keep on
I'm a
watching.
few weeks ahead of you with it. So, and I think my cellular voltage is slightly higher in my face than yours anyway.
Mhm.
But then, do you know what the thing is? I think it makes it more interesting because I think you've got more scope to go forward. So I think that the end game for you will be more prominent than mine because I think I already started here and you started maybe here. So when we
Yeah.
both get over here, the difference is going to be quite
Yeah. It's
noticeable
going
for
to be
you.
more striking for me. Yeah, for
I think
sure.
so. And I reckon, and it's interesting as well. I started playing around with like, how old do I actually look? And I'm 42, and I was thinking, right, well, I've got friends who are 30 and they've got lines on their face that I don't have. They do. And, then I started looking at pictures of people who are 25, and some of them look older than me, and some of them look around where I am. So I'm
Mm.
wondering if I'm around that looking. So tell us in the comments. I don't know what you guys think it is, but I've got friends who are 30 and I look quite a lot younger than my friends who are 30. So I just went for 25, which I
Yeah.
think is quite interesting. So I'm playing around with that. But yes, in answer to your question, I think I'm going to bring this to market now, and I'm still beta testing, but I'm pretty sure it is working.
Yeah.
I will bring this to market in a big way at some point, and I think I've got quite a lot of interesting contacts with people who will very much want this. I think everyone very much wants this, but I'm
Yeah.
still going to keep my prices at the level they are at now for my beta testing. So I can
Mhm.
do one area, which will be a 25-minute, or a whole body, which will be the 50-minute session. And
Right.
I will do that at the prices they are. Once I've got some more people done, I will actually raise my prices. And then my students are in June going to be able, yeah, in June going to be able to do this. At the moment, it's just me. But
Mhm.
I'm going to just keep the prices as they are at the moment while I get 20 people or so under my belt to make sure that it's working as it is. But it does look like this is reverse aging, and it is the human version of medbeds. So I
Wow.
think this is revolutionary. And I don't know anyone that wouldn't want to do this really, because most people, and I think it's going to maintain us. That's the other side of it. I think that if I've cracked this in the way that I think I have, I think we're probably going to get quite high on our cellular voltage and I think it probably will stay there. I
Mm.
don't think it's going to deplete. I think we're probably going to get to potentially around 25. I don't
Mm.
know how far it can go where people are starting. So this is why it's beta testing. But I think that it will probably maintain in whatever age you get to, you may continue to reverse age. And then I think you're going to stay at that point, not age. That's my
Yeah.
thinking at the moment, but we are still in beta testing. But yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, it's one of those things where we always know that we're going to be our own med beds, but at this point, there are just different points along the process of like, I couldn't do this for myself. I know I can do certain things just right now. Doesn't mean that my future capabilities can't, but we need someone now who's understanding that to bring that into us to help us start
Yeah,
that.
but you have to also understand that I've spent 25 years largely in a trance state, awakening my abilities.
Yeah,
I spent
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of my time in a different dimension doing this work. I don't have my chakras have expanded. I've gone into my angelic body. I've been crystalline for a long time. Like I've done a hell of a lot of homework for 20 years to be able to get to this stage. And I teach all this stuff as well. As I said, my level 12 students will be doing this in June. So anyone who wants to, I want everyone to learn this. I don't want to make myself the focal point of this. It puts a
Yeah, you
it
can't do
puts a
this for
bullseye
everybody
on
in
my
the
back.
world.
And
Yeah.
I don't want the responsibility of it. And I think it's everyone's birthright. I want everyone to be able to do
Me
this
too.
stuff too. I am the leader of the pack. And I have always been the leader of the pack with this work, because I've put, trance states sometimes where I couldn't even get down the stairs. I had to shimmy down the stairs on my butt, crawl to the kitchen and collapse. So in days, weeks, months, I couldn't leave the house. Lockdown wasn't a bother for me because I'm used to not leaving the house for months at a time. I've just, I've done a lot of work to get to where I am. And I've done the heavy lifting, so you don't have to. You literally watch videos in your pajamas and learn magic. You just literally watch the videos, sit there, chill out, and you get superpowers awoken within you, your natural latent abilities, which are just not awakened yet. They're just sitting there waiting to be
You were just
switched
the
on.
conduit to getting to it, which I think is really, really
I've got the keys. It's your system. Everyone's system. Everyone has this ability, but I've spent 20 years finding keys, and I can just literally switch these things on, and your system becomes illuminated and awake. It's removing. Awakening is a losing game. You lose the stuff that prevents you from being awoken. So I just click these things in your system and awaken your energy systems, and then you can have superpowers and you can do these cool things. So people can do it this way. They can do it through me. They can go and learn these things themselves. I want to be spreading these things out. So I've got all of my higher level students are able to do this work. I don't want to be working that much with one-to-one people. I'm going to make myself very exclusive because I don't have the time. I'm busy doing a million different projects simultaneously. And I want my students to be a more affordable price point, and to be working on a lot of different people and helping a lot of different people, and me doing,
constantly
other businessy things.
Yeah. Yeah, this is beautiful. Really, really beautiful. Well, also too, like there's also something else. You've got something coming up soon, right? Do you want to
My
talk about
book. I
Hey.
wrote a book. Yeah, so let me show you the book. I'm going to do a screen share. I have it here. Oh dear, it's here somewhere. I have everything organized and I can't find it. So here it is. Can you see it?
I can. Look at that.
This is it on, oh, sorry. I'm sorry that bit's there. Where's that?
Great cover, my dear. I love that. That's
There you go.
beautiful.
So this
Beautiful.
is the UK
Beautiful.
version, Energy Secrets, How to Live to Your Full Potential. So let me
Gorgeous.
read you the cover for it. So pre-order. So this is the UK one. So become a master of your energy. Owner's not supposed to be there. Become a master of your energy with this essential guide packed with tips and techniques, insights and advice to help you raise your vibration, transform your life and thrive. Drawing on ancient wisdom, evidence-based information, and Antonia's personal groundbreaking discoveries, you can learn how to master your energy and the energy around you, and see results from manifesting, setting clear personal boundaries, learning to draw energy in nature, cold water therapy, and the power boosting effects of tapping, plus so much more. This practical toolkit is vital for anyone living in a busy modern world, and will help you optimize your mental and spiritual health, leaving you feeling happier, stronger, and spiritually grounded. So there's that. This is the American version. So in America, I know your audience is American largely. So in the UK, please buy the hard version. I need to sell the hardcover version at $15.65 because I need to sell a minimum number, and then we can distribute it worldwide. But I have to sell a minimum number first. So please buy the hardcover.
Oh,
And
fantastic. Yeah.
and the American one is you can buy on Kindle and Audible. So I will put the links in below for the American one and the UK one. If you live somewhere else, please just put Energy Secrets, How to Live to Your Full Potential into your Amazon, and you'll be able to buy the Kindle or the audio. So yeah, it's really exciting.
That's really exciting. And this book actually, is this the first book you've written, or
My
is
first
this?
book.
Wow, congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment.
It was very stressful, and it was I had to write it in 6 weeks because that's as much time as I had to do it. It was difficult. Plus having builders in, plus downloading magic, plus doing everything else at the same time. And I just recorded the Audible version. So the Audible version I did this week on Monday, Tuesday, and that is me speaking, which was interesting, being in the recording studio and recording that this week too.
Wow, that's beautiful. So, but for you, this book it took the amount of time it took you to write was really more of a reflection of how well you knew this. So this is really the
I was working 18-hour days. It was really difficult.
Yeah. the culmination of years worth of work, right?
Yeah.
This is like, so what is this? This is for you, is this the foundation of what you've been doing? Or is
It's
this what?
this book is interesting because it's on some levels it's quite entry level, which is great for people to, it's a
Yeah,
basically how to learn how to be happier and how to set boundaries and how to work with nature and how to become the best, most positive version of you. And then it's also got some of the more advanced stuff about my version of manifesting, which is different from other people's, and about the solid liquid gas, what diseases truly are. So it's got, some
yeah,
of it is really, it's a foundation. I will write another one at some point, and the other one will be going down the rabbit hole for more deeper awareness. But I need to invite people in because the book that, the where I am with things is actually not necessarily accessible for everybody. So I need to write something which gives people an introduction into who I am and what I do, and also give people a nice toolkit to be able to be their happiest self and best self. So
yeah.
yeah, that's where I am.
And happiness, that actually is a very high vibration, but I'm wondering what the cellular, energy of that, what the
I was
cellular
looking into all
voltage
of
of
these things
happiness
actually.
is.
I
Yeah.
was looking into love frequency. So what's
Ooh,
interesting
let's do
about
that.
love?
This is a new thought for us. Let's
So
explore
I
that.
thought about this. So when you scrape your knee and your mum kisses it better and it's like love. And yet I just remember always actually feeling better when my mum kissed my knee better when I scraped my knee.
Yeah.
And I reckon that the cellular voltage of love actually makes the healing faster. Because if you think about Jesus and what he was doing and what he was emanating pure love. So maybe that is part of the cellular voltage too.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's so part of it. I mean, I remember as my daughter was growing up, I would tell her certain things, and it was a bit placebo effect and a bit reality. But the truth of the matter is that everything I told her that would happen, of course, she believed it because it was her mother saying, and it worked. It always worked.
Yeah.
And it's the hugs and the hugs though are, I'm curious what the electrical vibration or exchange is between two people when they hug.
I don't know. I can see what silly bullshit you
Okay.
do. I don't know if it'll work, but
Okay, let's give
is
it a
that the
shot.
right
Yeah. Sorry,
question?
and this is a curious one for me, guys. So thanks for
I don't know
going
if
down
it's
the
the
rabbit
right
hole.
question because I'm sort of,
Okay.
the other scale that we were looking at before, which is about, I wonder if there's something to do with that because then you have love and you've got the frequency of love, but I don't know if it's this, if
Okay.
they mix. I don't know if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
mix.
Okay. But if we're electrical beings and another, each of us, and we come together and we're not
Silly bullshit.
repelling each other, electrically.
160 I got for a hug, which is above what yeah, it can be. So it can be very high because you got all the oxytocin. It says 160 is what I got. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if I
I think
understand
we
the
should go
question well
hug
enough.
people today. I think that's what we need to do.
Oh my goodness. So did I tell you this story? Did I tell you
No,
my hugging story?
no, go ahead, tell us
Oh,
the
well,
hugging.
I'll tell you what this is. This is interesting. So I set myself weird tasks. Honestly, I'm a loop. I honestly just have the weirdest thing. So there's a lady called Amma who's called a hugging saint. People may have heard of. They go and get a hug from Amma, and it raises a vibration. I think she might be from the dark side, so I don't go to her anymore. There's a thing,
Mhm.
but I'm not pro her anymore
Oh, you
than I
mean so
used
she
to.
might be taking, siphoning energy off?
I don't think she's of the light. I don't think she's of the
Yeah.
light. But people go and
Interesting.
see Mother Amma. Anyway, that's just me. People may love her, but I don't think she's of the light. But I decided to. I was in an 80s gig, and I decided to go and hug loads of people and see what would happen. I set myself a mission to go and hug everyone on the stage in this party. So I went up to everyone and said, "Hey, I'm just doing this thing and let's see if I can hug everyone." So I went and hugged everyone on the stage, and some people were like, "Ugh, who do you think you are?" And and then and it was really funny because one person was just like, "Oh, get away from me." And then actually I got bundled by about three other people on the stage who thought I was great. And I was, they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
A hugging
And
pit.
they came over and like bundled me and it was super sweet. And then there were people who weren't getting along on stage and I was getting everyone to hug each other. And it just got into this thing. I was high as a kite for 3 days from that. Absolutely blissed out like completely euphoric, completely off my noodle for 3 days. at least.
Wow. Wow. No, you've never told me that story. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I do
I
weird things. Yeah.
love it. I love it. Love
So
it. Love
yes, I do think, and my cellular, I don't know, I was completely off my noodle for 3 days. So I do think that there's something around hugging people. So, so
it.
maybe I think Emma might be taking rather than giving, to be honest. I don't think she's
Right.
of the light because I
But
always felt
the
like crap after
concept,
seeing her.
yeah,
Hmm?
but the concept of hugging, it sounds like, I mean, first of all, it's something that people need that constant touch, but the hugging, I think really, if it increases your cellular
And we
voltage,
were not allowed to do that during COVID times.
yeah,
No
yeah,
touch.
yeah, interesting, interesting. Well, we may need to leave it there and explore a little bit further. So,
We
Miss
may
Antonia, is
need.
there anything else that you'd like to say today on this beautiful, beautiful Easter Sunday, the 9th of April?
Well, I'm glad that I just think that the day being the day of resurrection and the day of resurrecting your finger.
I know.
Yeah, I'm excited to be playing with all of this stuff because I think it's time now. I'm now ready to receive clients on that, and I think that this is going to be really, really fun.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a little, yeah, I'll have to monitor people as well, which
Yeah, I think a couple of us
yeah,
have
it
to be
will be.
doing
It'll be a little bit involved, which I won't do later on. So you get the benefit of me coming back to you and saying and asking people. I'm going to be asking for photographs, and I'm going to get people to be taking pictures and seeing where they are, and writing a bit of a diary. I'm going to have to. I am beta testing, so I need people to be sort of involved with that if people are interested in doing that. And I also, so I'm going to do. Yeah, I think it could make a big difference to a lot of different sicknesses that people have. I don't know how and what and why just now, but I think you can regenerate pretty much anything. And I think that you can have a lot more life force. And I'm just really, really excited to find out more about this because I'm noticing my face is looking different and comparing pictures. I think you're noticing a difference with you. And
I
I
noticed the
just,
difference physically, yeah. And the
and
finger,
yeah, from walking and things, and your
wow,
finger isn't, yeah, your finger's great. So
amazing.
I think anything can be grown back. And
Yeah.
I just, I do think that it's going to be a wonderful, amazing world. We didn't talk about the O2 stuff. We'll do that for another time, shall we? About the
Okay, yeah, let's do that. You're right. The oxygen, we'll do that another time because I think there's a lot in here. But I think that's
mm.
great, Antonia. Unless you have something you want to share right now.
No, just yeah, I'm going to put the links for the book. I'd be super
Okay.
grateful if anyone could buy the copy of the book. It is very good,
Yeah,
especially the
excited.
hardcover. That's the main thing, as well as everything else. I'd be grateful.
Wonderful. Well, Antonia, congratulations on the book. That's such an exciting news. And I can't wait I'm going to listen to it because I want to hear your voice, as well as look at the book because I want the physical book in there. I love it. And then
You get
also,
a signed copy. Oh
you
yes,
get
sorry. If
to,
anyone does buy the book, if they buy the Audible copy, any copy of it, just send me the receipt at win@divineempowerment.com, win@divineempowerment.com, and you can just send me the receipt, and I will enter you into competition to win my three class bundle, which is the 1, 2, and 3. And if you want 10% off the healing with me or the courses, just use the code honey10 and you get 10% off.
okay,
There we go.
fantastic. Very good news. Well, Antonia, thank you. Thank you for supporting me with the finger. Thank you for sharing all of your wonderful insights and knowledge, and have a wonderful, wonderful Easter. This is
Thank
Lisa.
you. Bye
Question the next day.
bye.
Thank you so much.